Okay, well, welcome everybody to How to Make a Downsize Move, 3 Steps to a Right-Sized Lifestyle. And this time of year is a time when a lot of people start thinking about that downsizing process right before the holidays. And this is also the time when families that get together over the holidays are planning to have that conversation with mom and dad about, is it time to make a move? Is it time to let go of your home and move to something simpler? So the timing for this could not be better. I'm going to be going through several things today, and since this is an intimate group, you're welcome to stop me, but I will be having a Q&A, time for questions and answers at the end. I also will just a little bit of housekeeping, make sure that you all know where your chat button is. You all know where the chat is. If you want, it's usually at the bottom. Okay. How about you, Tammy, and whoever else is there? You know where your chat button is?
I think I do, yeah.
Okay, it's not usually at the bottom. So this is going to be interactive. I am going to be asking you to respond to some things and to share information. And then, of course, if you want to silence your phone, if it isn't already, I'm silencing mine so we can give our full attention to what we're going to be sharing with you tonight. All right, I'm going to tell you just a little bit about myself. Why do I have such a passion for serving downsizers? Okay, your mom, yeah, looks like she's ready to come in. So there we go. Janet, if you're here, welcome. Go ahead and turn your video on, which is in the lower right screen, so we can see your lovely face. And we're just getting started now, so your timing is good. There we go. I can see her. Okay, just want to tell you a little bit about me. Those of you that don't know about me, why do I have such a passion for serving downsizers? Well, it's been an ongoing passion for about 15 years. It started out as a real estate agent in Missouri, actually. And I was representing an upscale condo, and people loved it, mostly retirees and empty nesters. But when I asked them, how can we help you move forward, their eyes would glaze over and they would say, we don't know, we're overwhelmed, we don't know where to start. And they would do nothing. They were literally stuck with their stuff. That's a horrible place to be, feeling the burden of too much stuff. So I was at the time, this is 2007, looking for resources for them. And at the time, I couldn't find anything. There wasn't much out there to help people that were able-bodied, but just needed help to move forward in a step-by-step manner. Shortly after that, I found out that my mom, who lived in Iowa, was afflicted with terminal brain cancer. She went from very healthy to terminal, and we brought her into our home and took care of her until she passed. And that was a tough time. And then I was left with responsibility to liquidate her assets from about 300 miles away. So it was a very hard time. I was very overwhelmed myself. And when we were through with the process, which took about 6 months, I said, you know what, nobody should have to go through all of that. And so I came back and I wrote a workbook, created a system to help people move step by step and help make the downsizing process easier, less stressful, and quicker. So that's my background. I have a senior move management company called Downsize My Home. I've had that for the last 7 years. We work with 3 generations of people, anybody who's wanting to make a downsize move or any kind of move. We do help them with concierge level moves. It includes a lot of different things. I also coach real estate agents from across the country who are focused on working with seniors and their families, and especially those who are downsizing. So I am all about downsizing. Well, that's about me. I want to find out a little bit more. There's George entering the room. We're going to let him in as well. Hello, George. If you can hear me, just I see you don't have your, if you can turn your video on, that would be awesome. So we can see who's in our tribe here, who's in our team. We just got started, so you haven't really missed much at all. Welcome. I'm happy to have you. And again, those of you that's just joined, if you're able to know where your chat button is, you want to make sure you know that. It's usually at the bottom if you take your cursor on your, your little mouse or whatever, and put that arrow down to the very bottom of your screen, there should be a pop-up, and there's a little icon that says chat. And you click on that, because I will be asking you questions. I want this to be interactive. And I think we can also learn from each other. So please make sure that you've got that. And we're just going to keep it. I'm going to be asking you and sharing with you the 3 different types of downsizers. And when I get done, I'm going to ask you to choose if you are A, B, or C. So let's get started on that, because I want to know a little bit more about where you're at with this whole process. Okay. So which one of these describes your current situation? Are you A, overwhelmed and you don't know where to start? You're at the front end of all that. Are you B, you started downsizing, maybe you got pulled away by other things, by life. You've got projects over here, a project in this room, a project in that room, but you haven't ever completed anything. And now everything's kind of a cluttered mess and you're stuck. If that's you. Or are you C? You've got a handle on this. You just need a few tips and resources, or you work with people who are downsizing and you want some extra information to help make their lives easier. So are you A, B, or C? Go ahead in the chat and let me know if you are just getting started, overwhelmed, and don't know where to start. If you made some efforts to start, but you got stuck along the way, or if you've got a great handle on it, you just needed a few resources and tips, or you work with people who are downsizing and you want some extra information to help them. So Gail is C. Gail, welcome.
Thank you.
I am very honored to have you. Gail is, I believe you are the president, aren't you, of Downsizing Divas?
No, but I am with Downsizing Diva.
Okay.
Karen's
Well,
the president.
Okay. Well, your name looks very familiar because I probably met you at a conference or something. And you were from Toronto, is that right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, welcome. Welcome to Texas. We're in
Thanks.
Austin, Texas. So awesome. And then who was it that said B? I'm looking at
That
B,
was
but-
me.
Okay. All right. Great. All right. So we've got C in helping my mom, B, and I'm not seeing anybody else. If anybody else can, I guess we lost George. So, all right, great. So we'll just keep moving on. All right. No matter, I'm sorry. Go ahead. And yeah, go ahead and mute yourselves. And then, but if you need to speak up, you can unmute yourself. No matter where you're at in this process, my goal in this is to help you move forward, get unstuck, get the overwhelm out of here so you can move forward more quickly, more easily, so you can create an easy to follow plan to help you stay on track and identify the right resources for every single step of the downsizing process. And it is not uncomplicated, but it can be a lot easier. So I think downsizing is all about designing a smaller and better version of something, and especially your own living space. Okay. So the first step, I said there are 3 steps to this. The first step, I believe, is creating the right mindset. What's happening between your ears, okay? This is the step that is missed by almost everyone who starts downsizing. And I'm going to show you the 2 things that you need to do with your mind first and foremost, and that you need to identify in order to make the downsizing process a lot easier. So creating the right mindset. The first one is being very clear about your priorities. Why are you planning to make a downsize move? What are the reasons? And with any goal, the more reasons and the stronger reasons that you have, the better. Because what's going to happen in this process is you're going to get started and you're going to come up against obstacles. You are going to come up against overwhelm. And if you don't have a very clear group of reasons and very clear vision of why you're doing this, it's going to be really easy to just throw up your hands and say, you know what, never mind, I'm just going to stay where I am. And that's fine, except you would not be here tonight if that was the right thing for you to do, right? So you don't want to stay in that space. You don't want to stay with the burden, and you want to be able to develop the lifestyle that you really want. So these are the priorities. So take a look at these and fill in, when you see them, fill in the chat, which ones apply to you. Are your kids grown? You don't need the space. You selling your home and your realtor has said, hey, you got to get rid of this clutter. You want to reduce your living expenses. That one's harder to do these days because everything's more expensive. You want to live closer to family. I find this year that's been the #1 reason why people call us. They're making a move to be closer to their families. This is especially this post-COVID world. They've been cooped up for a couple of years, and it's time to get closer to family. Trying to help your parents make a downsize move, that's a biggie. Sometimes we work with people whose loved ones have passed and they've inherited the home, and then they're trying to figure out how to make the next move. Some people don't want the responsibility of home maintenance. And some people need to move for health reasons. Maybe there's too many stairs in the home, or they just aren't able to take care of the home in the way that they should. And all those are good reasons. So I am seeing, let me move my chat up here. So if you can fill in the blank, Lois is saying #5. I know it's a lot of different ones. You got to kind of look through it. I'll give you a few minutes to fill in. And if it's not any of these, that's okay. These are the most common ones for the people that I have worked with over the years. Maybe you've got a different one. If it is, just say other. You don't even have to tell us what it is, or you can. So I see Lois's, and Lois, it says after your name that you're ICUT, I-C-U-T. Is that somebody different?
That's my, that's where I work.
Okay, all right. It's not somebody different then. Okay.
No.
All right. Okay. I don't see anybody else. So obviously other people are have different priorities, or they don't have any priorities. Oh, #7, Gail. Yeah, okay. Awesome. Thank you for chiming in. All right. Well, let's take a look at the next mindset that you need to overcome. And this one is the trickiest one. Identifying your hang-on hang-ups. And I'm sorry, but we all have them. I've had lots of people say, I don't have any hang-on hang-ups. Well, that's fine, but yes, you do. It may not be these, it may be something else, but these are the 9 most common hang-ups that we deal with in working with folks who are downsizing. These are the things you may not even be aware of that you're thinking. I feel guilty about throwing things away. You know, I went through that for a while. So many things have strong memories attached to them. That is a very common one, and it's understandable. You spend a lot of your life collecting things and going places and having wonderful experiences. And when you look at those collectibles, those paintings, whatever it is, you have trouble letting go of them. I'm afraid I'll give up a part of myself. I hear that one too. Some of my belongings might be valuable. Unfortunately, not many are anymore, but we'll get into that a little bit later. I paid a lot for it when I bought it. That's a biggie too. I might use it someday. I got that one a few years back. I don't get that one as much anymore. And guys quite often will say, if I fix it up, it'll be a nice item. And I see a lot of those things hanging around garages, broken this and broken that. But you know, I didn't want to let it go because I might be able to fix it up. It was given to me, and that's a very legitimate one. You know, it's hard to part with things, and maybe you don't have to. We want to help people keep all of the things that are most important to them and recreate a smaller living space that looks and feels like home, but is not cluttered. So, and I don't know what to do with it, so I'm just storing it for now. That's a biggie. So which one of these hang-on hang-ups do you have, or do you see the person that you're trying to help have? So go ahead and put those numbers in the chat box. Thinking. I think our chat responder is a little bit slow too. And if you want to just talk about it, you don't want to mess with the chat, you can unmute yourself and just say, hey, I've got this one, or I've got that one. It's really helpful for all of us to understand what each other's going through. Okay, Gail has 7 and 9. Oh, if I fix it, it'll be a nice item. That's interesting. All right, and Lois, you have 5. All right, and Gail, is that Gail? Why did I not, do I not know that one? It's the red one. I'm not sure that. All right, so we've got a variety of things here, and thank you guys for being honest and kind of examining yourself, and you can kind of think about that some more. And I'll have different ways that you can get a copy of this. So one of them is access to a free copy of my workbook. So don't feel like you have to rush and fill in all the blanks on this. Number 2, the second step is having the right plan. And so I believe in anybody who coaches people on goal setting will tell you, you have to have a time frame, you have to have a deadline, or it really isn't a goal, right? So no matter how far out it is, when I'm doing these in-person workshops, I make people write down the date by which they will make a downsize move. So if it's July 7th, 2023 or 2030, whatever it is, I always want people to write that down. You don't have to share it with us because I know some of you are not moving, but just know that putting a time frame on it is so important. That's the first part of planning. Then you can back everything up from there, right? And then the second part is deciding, you know, what's your lifestyle going to be like? What do you want to do? You know, at this stage, we're supposed to be able to recreate the kind of life that we want. You have to take a look at what does that look like? You know, are you into pickleball? Are you into golf? Do you like to quilt? Do you like to woodwork? What are the things that are driving you? And because of that, you need to be able to create a living space or have access to those things so that you can feel like you're still having a life, you're still living. And then in general, ask yourself, what are the 3 most important things your next living space, your next home, your next community has to have? Do you love to swim? So you need a pool, you know? Do you like to walk? You need walking trails close by. This is your time to make a wish list of what are the most important things. I think that my trigger finger went too fast forward. No, there's another one in here maybe. I think that pretty much covers it. So step 2, the right time frame. You want to set a time frame. You want to understand what your new living space has to have. How many bedrooms, how many bathrooms do you need? Are you wanting to move to a patio home, or do you want somebody to maintain the lawn for you? Do you want to have a lock and leave lifestyle, move into a 55+ leasing community and not even worry about home ownership? Or are you ready to have somebody else cook all the meals and you just go down and enjoy gourmet dining in a senior living, independent living community? Those are all choices. And so taking a look at what that looks like is really important. Once you've decided, you don't have to have this particular space. You don't have to have picked out the home or the leasing community you're going to. You just have to know the type of space you want to move into. Then you can take action and start the downsizing process and start making things happen. Well, that is the third step. And it all starts with how you set it up. People will often go into a room and go, okay, I am going to roll my sleeves up and I'm going to start purging things. I'm going to start going through things. And they pull things out and it becomes a mess. And they don't know what to do with the things that they've pulled out. Have any of you ever done that? True confessions? We all have, you know. So first, you want to create a staging area. You want to choose an area of your home that has room to put items that you want to sell or donate, because you do want to pull things out of that room. You don't want to just tag them. You want to create space. It's that shifting of space and pulling things out and uncluttering things. And there's something about the energy of that. I'm not trying to get foo-foo here, but there is a shift in energy that happens when you start taking action and doing that. So here's some examples of the types of spaces that you could use for a staging area. You could use your garage if your garage has space. If it doesn't, you may need to just clean out the garage. You can use a guest room that you don't use very often. People often do that. Or any other unused area of your house that has space for you to stack bins or items that you are going to take out of your house that you no longer need. Now, I'm not talking about furniture. You don't want to, have to have heavy things. You can tag them, and we're going to get into that next. But these are just items that you can put in a bin, that you can put in a box, that you can set aside, and that you can then put in your car or have someone haul away. And so then you want to decide where to begin. And sometimes this is the hardest part, but that's why I've got 2 rules for this. You can either start with an area that bugs you the most. And I say, this is the one that when you walk past it, you kind of put blinders on. You don't even want to look at it because it starts like, making your stomach all hurt and everything, or your head explodes. Or you can pick an area where you think you can make the greatest progress on the most quickly. So either one of those, but the goal is to gain momentum. The goal is to feel at the end of downsizing that particular area that you've made progress. I often suggest that people start with their study or their office. That seems to be a dumping ground. And when you start, you want in any room, but especially in an office that usually has a lot of shelves or it has things in the closet, you want to start at one end. Like you walk in the door, start to the right or start to the left and start tagging things and just move as far as you can. Sometimes you can only get through 3 feet and that's okay. So you want to set aside a specific amount of time for sorting, 2 or 3 hours. If you get too much beyond there, you start getting overwhelmed, you start getting exhausted, and that's where you get stuck and you walk away and you go, I can't do this. So put it on your calendar. It's a date with yourself 2 to 3 times a week for a few hours and devote it only to the downsizing process. Well, what do you mean by the downsizing process, Kim? How does that work? Well, this is how we do it at Downsize My Home. You want to have an easy method for making those decisions. Color-coded tagging is the best, easiest way to do that. And this is not anything I invented. There's a lot of different systems out there. This is just one that we use. It helps you see at a glance what you're keeping, what you're letting go of. Some people simplify this. You can do any version of this, but green dots for us are for keeping things you are going to move with you, things you are going to pack. And sometimes if we're making a 2-part move where we're moving someone into their smaller space and then going back to take care of the rest of things and liquidate things, we will only focus on the green dots. So it depends on where you're at in the moving process, how much time you have, and how you want to approach it. But these are the things that we use, the color code that we use. Green is keep, blue is gift, yellow is sell, and red is donate. And sometimes we combine those two because it's hard to tell. And then if possible, moving the items that you're not keeping to your staging area to take to those donation centers or to sell. And I'm really going to suggest that you keep a written inventory of what, especially what you're going to gift, sell, or donate. I've had people come up to me, I had the niece of one of the gals that we moved and said, what happened to grandma's pie plate? And I was like, well, let me look in our inventory. And we just absolutely did have grandma's pie, or we had a pie plate listed, a tin pie plate, but it meant a lot to her and she was supposed to get it and we didn't know. But we were at least able to tell her that it went to a particular donation center. So you never know when someone's going to come back to you and say, hey, what happened to this? Hopefully ahead of time, the people who are downsizing will have contacted their family members, their friends, their loved ones, and said, I'm downsizing. You need to come over. I'm going to give you blue dots and you're going to put them on things that you really do want to have. And then you're going to get them out of here. You need to set a deadline for that as well. That's really important. I have people who said, yeah, my kids said they're going to come, or my kids said, you know, and you can do it over video if you want to, if your kids live far away, but they have to have a deadline. And then you'll have to ship it to them, or they'll have to come down and haul it back themselves. So keeping a written inventory is so helpful. In my workbook, we've got lots of sheets for writing down items that you're going to do each one of these things to. Keeping a written inventory. It sounds silly. It sounds like, I don't want to go through that trouble. Not every single little thing that you have, in your kitchen, but the basic things that you know that you want to know, you want to remember, where did they go? So when you're doing this process, when you've got your dots, which you can get at any office supply store or any other way that if some people use colored Post-it notes, any of those things are fine. It's what questions you ask yourself that make all the difference in the world in making good decisions or not so good decisions. So you also always want to ask yourself a question and then make a decision. You may not know it all. You can, in a few times, we have white dots that people can come back to later, but we only give them a very limited amount of them because you really need to make a decision. So do you use it? Do you value it? Do you have room for it? You don't always know the answer to those questions. Some of them you do. Is this something I no longer use, but I'm keeping it because it may have value in the future, or I may really want to look at it again? Will I mourn its loss? Even if you mourn its loss, is there another way that you can capture that memory, but let go of the item? Ask yourself these questions. There's lots of other questions you can ask yourself too, but this gives you a good start. And then you put a dot on it. You put a colored sticker on it, whatever it is. If it's yes, I do. I have room for it. I value it. I really want it with me. Green dot it. If it's not, and you're looking back on your hang-ups, this is where they come in handy. Whether you're doing it yourself, but I always say you need to have a partner to help you in most cases. Then they can ask you, remember you had that hang-up? Is that one of these things? And it brings it to light. And you go, yeah, okay, yep, you're right. So these are some questions that you can ask yourself as you're making decisions about what you want to keep and move forward with to create your new lifestyle. Right? Once you've got all that done, you've tagged things in most areas of your room. You're not going to, of course, pull all your kitchen drawers out and tag everything, but there's certain items you're going to want to go through. How many casserole dishes do you really need? So you want to look at, am I going to sell it or donate it? How much time do you have before you move? This is a big one, because if you're moving and or putting your home on the market, you are going to need to get those things out of there quickly if it's going on the market soon. But that's the time frame is very important. What is the value of your items? this is the biggest one that's really difficult. It takes some research, or it takes hiring a liquidation specialist. I have a gal on my team that's all she does is liquidation. She's had great luck in helping people sell items online, in getting things to consignment centers, or in coordinating an estate sale. And do you have enough items to make an estate sale worthwhile? The rule of thumb, and this differs in different areas of the country, but rule of thumb is minimum $12,000 in retail value of items to sell, and on up. And some estate sale companies have much higher levels that they require as a minimum. And the way that they know it is just because they've been doing it for a while, and they've been keeping up with what is the current value of certain collectibles, of certain antiques, of certain household items. You have to have a whole bunch of stuff in order to make an estate sale worthwhile to the estate sale company. And getting on their calendar can be tough. Usually it's a month or 2 or 3 out. So that's why I'm saying, how much time do you have before you move? And most of the time, estate sale companies want to sell everything that's left in the house. So a lot of times they want you to have moved already before they do the estate sale. There's lots. I have a list in the Austin area of several really good estate sale companies that specialize in different areas. So I recommend them based on the type of things that my clients have. But that's just kind of the general rule of thumb in estate sales. So oftentimes people don't have enough for estate sales, especially these days. So the other thing is, are there sales outlets such as consignment stores, auction houses, and of course there's online sales that can sell your items, or that you can sell your items at. This is the thing that takes the most time and energy, and probably creates a lot of overwhelm for people. And it's oftentimes worthwhile to hire someone to help in this area, even if you don't have help in any other area. So I know there's probably a lot of questions people have about this. So keep your questions, write them down, and I'll be happy to do my best to answer them. And so I just wanted, this is, like I said, a lot of information to absorb at once. And so this is kind of like fire hosing you, and I apologize, but additional resources are so important to know. And this is just a handful of them. It differs depending upon your situation and what you need. The top 2, though, I believe are the most important, and I'll tell you why. They are the ones that are the one-stop shop. So a real estate specialist that has been specially trained and is an expert in working with mature home sellers and home buyers, seniors, their families, and downsizers. You want to look for one of these designations: the SRES, Senior Residential Specialist, the CSHP, which is the Certified Senior Housing Professional, or the newest one, which is one that I've launched recently, which is the DSRE, the Downsizing Specialist in Real Estate. And I have trained about a dozen real estate agents across the country to be certified in this area. A senior move manager is a key person, and real estate specialists and senior move managers work hand in hand. The senior move manager is also a one-stop shop, and they oftentimes have a list of real estate agents that are their preferred providers that do exactly what I just talked to you about. And I highly encourage you to, if you're looking for one, to go to NASM, NASMM.org. It's the National Association of Senior Move Managers. It's also called National Association of Specialty and Senior Move Managers now. But you can put your zip code in, and you can find a very qualified professional company that can help you, take you through from the beginning to the end. And I know many companies, just like we do, we specialize in doing 1 or 2 day full unpack and setups. So by the end of that day, if you're a 1.5 bedroom apartment, we will have moved all your stuff. We will have unpacked everything. We will have made your bed, put your clothes in the closet, and all of the boxes are gone. You just start living. Sometimes it takes us 2 days if it's about 900 square feet or more, but your pictures are hung and you get to start living your new lifestyle. So those 2 are key resources for you. And of course, all of these others, elder law attorneys, financial planners, so that you know that your money's going to last. Senior placement advisors are the ones, if you're looking at a senior community, they know the senior communities in this area, and they will match you, your personality, what kind of community you want, and your hobbies and lifestyle with the right community. They're well worth it, and they cost nothing to you. Geriatric social workers, if you've got family issues or you're grieving the loss of a spouse, or you need to help in going through the emotional part of this decision. Medicare VA specialists, which we have one right with us there with Tammy, and home care and home health care. Sometimes when people are moving into even an independent community, they may need some additional help. And these home care is somebody who's like a companion and also can help with getting meals, getting you dressed, making sure that your people are picking you up for your doctor appointments. A home health care is more medically oriented and can administer medications, those kinds of things. So these are all good resources to have, and there's lots more. So this is what the most important part is, to stay on track and make this move and keep your momentum going and keep you moving forward. Have an accountability partner. It's hard for that partner to be your family member. There are cases where it works great, but most seniors do not want their family members telling them what to do. And even though you may not be telling them what to do, that is how they perceive it. So I always recommend that you get a trusting friend, a neighbor that you know and trust, somebody from your church, or hire a downsizing specialist or senior move manager to help be your coach in this process. But you do need somebody to hold you accountable and to help you stay motivated and encourage you along the way. Decide which donation centers you want to use for discarded items that are in good condition. And those change. Donation centers don't always accept the same things all the time. For example, Salvation Army, if they get inundated with sofas, they may not accept your sofa. So you just need to check with the donation centers that you want to use and make sure that they'll accept the things that you want to give them. Make sure you have recommendations for haulers, move managers, estate sales, consignments, all these other home prep services, whatever it is that you perceive that you need. And that again is where move managers and real estate specialists can help you, because they have all of that. So I'm just going to give a recap here, because we have gone through a lot of things. But if you think of it in 3 steps, that number 1 is your mindset and understanding and writing down your priorities. Why are you doing this? What are your most important reasons? Identifying the roadblocks, the hang-ups that you've kind of been using as excuses, and then uncovering the real cost of not downsizing. I did not go through that tonight, but you can save up to $10,000 by going through the downsizing process first, in terms of what it's going to cost to pack you and move you. That's not including a move manager, but what it's going to cost you just to move and to not have to have a storage unit. Step 2 is to plan, defining the when, the where, and the what of moving to a smaller home. Knowing who you are and what you want that next to look like. And step 3 is taking action. Now you know a system to sort, what to keep and gift and sell or donate, how to start, where to start, how to pick the best place in your home to start the downsizing process, and a little bit of information on how to determine the best way to liquidate and get rid of what you don't want to do. And then finally, finding the right resources for every step of the downsizing and moving process. So I encourage you to push the easy button and get help along the way, whether it's from friends, family, or professionals. Well, this is just a little thing. If you want to know more about our move management services in the Austin area, you can now get your little smartphone out, and if you want to click the QR code and book a free consultation, you can. You can go to my website, downsizemyhome.biz, B-I-Z. Long story about why I had to do biz instead of .com, but that's for another time. So this is all available to you, and I want to now open this up to answer any questions that you guys have, or to share insights, or to share your experiences. So please unmute yourself and ask a question, or share a story or a comment, please.
Well, I'll start. This is really helpful. You know, now I have some ideas of what my mom and I can do that's easy, and what we can't do, what we shouldn't do together.
Yeah.
So thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I look forward to meeting you both.
Yeah. And you will.
Yeah, I know. It's all in your timing, you know,
That's right.
it's all about you guys. So,
Well, I started, I guess in January, and downsizing, and I've got it all in my living room at the moment.
well, that's your staging area, right?
That's my staging area, but yeah, that's going to be my Christmas tree pretty soon. So I've got to find some else place to stage. So,
well, hopefully this has given you some ideas that can help make that easier.
Yeah, I definitely did. And my husband has a lot of tools and, you know, a lot of things that he can't use anymore. So that's what I'm trying to figure out, because I don't even know what he's got. You know, that's the bad thing about it. So,
yeah.
So
I know I have a resource of somebody who buys tools. So reach out to me after this and I will connect you.
Okay, that'd be great, because yeah, I just, he's got so much. I don't, you know, he was one of those guys that if he couldn't find it, he went and bought a new one. So
I live with one of those. Yes. I feel your pain. Oh my gosh.
I live with one of those, and I would really like to find out what your resource is.
All right. Well, we will definitely talk.
Okay.
We'll definitely talk. So, Gail, I would love to get your input.
My husband also was a train collector, so I've got a lot of trains.
Oh, wow. Oh, well, I'm sure there's a market for those. We've worked with that before. So yeah, we can definitely help you.
Okay, thank you.
So,
Oh, I think finally I unmuted.
yay.
I was here mostly because, you know, we've got a client ourselves who, after all of these years, we just couldn't find the right way to get to this person. And, you know, we've tried everything to get them to, and it's not a hoarding situation. It's just attachment. And and so you give me some language and some ideas that are a little different from what we do, which is great. I'm gonna take this to my team leader tomorrow and let her try it out.
Awesome. Well, will you do me a favor? Will you email me and let me know how it's working, and if you're able to make progress with that client?
Will do.
Okay.
Yeah,
Awesome.
thanks.
Yeah, info@downsizemyhome.biz or kim@kimstanley.com. Pick one. So yeah, this is a picture of my team. And I think I have another gal that we hired, actually two more gals that we hired recently that aren't even in this picture. So we're growing. I've got a team of 10 and we're excited. And of course, Austin senior population is growing by leaps and bounds. And I have moved several people out of the area. Actually, they're going to family members across the country, but I'm also moving a lot in, and they're still coming because, you know, we're still building factories and everybody's moving to Austin or to Texas. So, yeah, there's a lot going on. So it's exciting. And I feel so fortunate to be in this industry. I love what we do. And I love the fact that my team is so passionate. Sometimes they push me, so great. Are there any other questions or thoughts anybody wants to share? All right, well, if not, I am going to stop this share. There we are, and get back to the full screen. And I so appreciate everybody being on board tonight. And the people who signed up and didn't make it, well, they missed out, but that's okay. I'll go ahead and share this recording with them, and I'm going to go ahead and actually stop that recording. There we go.